The timeline: test versus invest. Simply put, a tester prefers to date multiple men simultaneously, and an investor is very uncomfortable doing so and prefers to focus all of her efforts on one single guy. You could say that a tester can be attracted to many guys at once, but an investor cannot. A woman's timeline is the most fluid and able to change of the three character lines. It can change gradually with age, but also depends on her individual dating experiences. For example, she might be a tester, date a lot of guys, then meet someone she really likes and become an investor. The opposite is also possible, meaning if she dates a player and invests hardcore into him, and if the breakup is really bad and he breaks her heart, she may become a tester going forward. The other very important thing to keep in mind is that testers will often pretend to be investors. All right, this is the one line that is a little bit tricky to see sometimes. It's the one thing that women will hide. So you have to keep a lookout for that, and you have to be very good at picking up the clues. There is a downside to not knowing her timeline. That's why it's very important. Let's say you meet a tester and you don't know she's a tester, and she succeeds in making you think that she's an investor. You might think that she's only dating you and you've got it easy. Meanwhile, she could be dating 4 other guys who are all competing for her attention, but you would have no idea. She might be behaving weird ways or acting strange, and you might think it's because she's not interested or something, but really it's because you're competing with other guys. But don't worry, because that's not going to be you, because you are going to understand Pandora's box, and you're going to understand how to tell her timeline. We're obviously going to show you lots of clues and lots of tricks to find out for sure. You'll know how to immediately tell when you are dealing with a tester, and also you'll know how to get a tester to drop the other guy she's seeing and focus her energy on you and become loyal to you. And what's even more powerful is that if you do tame a tester can actually become even more loyal to you, because she will feel as though she had to go through many different guys to find you. She'll actually feel like she tested different guys and then decided to choose you. So that can actually create a very strong bond. All right. Now, this is exciting, but let's be patient, because we need to talk a little bit more about the specific character traits of a tester or investor before we talk about the advanced strategies. Even knowing just the introduction to the tester-investor model, you can immediately see how the dating strategy for those two different types of women would be very different. A woman who's dating many guys at the same time will have a completely different mindset to one who is focusing all of her attention just on you. That's why your game plan needs to be different. All right, so let's talk about your typical tester. For her, it's all about emotional diversification. She doesn't want to put all of her eggs in one basket. And a lot of times it comes from being hurt in the past romantically. So she tests. She keeps men on the side. She flirts heavily with the guys around her and leads people on. What's really important is the understanding behind why she does these things. Many people think that women will test and mate and date different guys in order to figure out which one is the perfect guy. But that's actually wrong. In fact, the tester, she doesn't even care about finding the one perfect guy. She's getting the total package by getting certain types of value and emotion from the combination of guys. In fact, this is a very important thing. Is one of the cool things about understanding Pandora's box and everything is that just knowing all this stuff can allow you to really connect with women by talking about things in her reality or cold reading her. My trainer Matt was with a girl the other night, and he actually said to her, he said, yeah, he knew that she was a tester, so what he said was, wow, in New York City you can really, it's like you don't even need to find the perfect guy. You can just kind of get the perfect guy from a combination of all the guys you're already dating. And she's like, yeah, exactly. So, all of this knowledge, in addition to the indirect application, you could just say a lot of this stuff to women. And because it matches what they're thinking so well, it's really going to make you seem insightful and that you understand her reality. So if you're dating a tester, if you know a tester and they're young, you should understand what their thinking is. I'm just having fun for a few years, and then I'll find someone to settle down with later. And surprisingly, within those few years, even if they find that perfect one, they still might date others who are not as good as him. And just let me generalize a little bit, and this isn't the case 100% of the time, but in general, a tester has suffered some kind of romantic loss where she's felt cheated and betrayed by a guy in the past. And what a tester will do is she's going to date multiple guys to feel significance, to be validated as a desirable, attractive woman, and that's very important to women. One of the girls who I met during this 2-year-long study actually dropped out of college for a year. And she's now actually a year behind, but she actually dropped out of college to move into the city. She actually moved into Boston and seriously date men full time. And on average, she was dating 8 guys at once, all of which were completely clueless. She would treat all of them very well. They all thought that they were like the one guy, and I guess they must have thought that she was just very busy. But they all thought that they were the one guy that she was dating, and she was very good. But really, she was just dating full time, and I guess that's the only way that woman could really do that. So these guys were very unaware of women, obviously, to fall for that. And the interesting thing is that this particular woman, she would avoid players. The types of guys that she would target were the nice guys, the guys that were no threat to her, so she could easily have control of the situation and not get hurt. And she knew that all the other guys really didn't have other women in their life. And it's really a scary thing, to be honest. But it's something that we don't have to worry about because we're going to know the secrets, right? But like I said, it is a very common strategy for testers, especially the real manipulative ones. And I mean, don't worry, it's not like most testers, but I'd say maybe 10% of testers are that manipulative in what they do. But what they will do is they will present themselves as investors looking for that romantic connection, which is really the scary part. Now, when I say a tester dates multiple guys, it does not necessarily mean that she is sleeping with all the guys at the same time. Often she is not. Often she's sleeping with 1 or 2. Really depends on the sex line, whether she's a denier or justifier. We're going to get into that, the differences there. But just the long and the short of it is a denier will not be sleeping with all the guys that she's dating, and a justifier will be sleeping with most of the guys that she's dating. But we're talking about that line next. So, if I remember correctly, the girl who I mentioned who was dating 8 different guys, she was really only sleeping with 2 or 3 of them at the same time. Often, the testers will keep guys as what we call orbiters. Testers have elaborate strategies to keep orbiters in orbit, I guess you could say, or to keep them stringed along while they sampled many different guys simultaneously and eventually decide which one or 2 or 3 they're going to keep for the long term. So you might have even heard the term orbiter before, but the orbiter strategies would be stuff like, a girl will sometimes have guy friends, and what they'll do is they'll talk about sex, which kind of gets the guy excited and hints at the promise of having sex with her just because she's talking about it. That's something more of a justifier would do, but testers do it a lot. Baiting or suggesting hanging out and then flaking last minute. There's something really powerful about that when women do that. That when they actually make plans with you, and so you actually spend a couple of days looking forward to the date, and then they flake out last minute, that actually has a more damaging effect to guys, because they spend those 3 days getting their hopes up, as opposed to her saying no when they ask, when they actually say yes and then wait a couple of days, and they get like more mentally committed to this woman, and then she flakes last minute. It's really unfortunate. Another thing they do is they appear helpless or vulnerable, which motivates men to want to protect her. I think that's the reason why I've actually heard that the reason why women wear high heels is so that when they walk, it actually makes them look more vulnerable, because they're sometimes like stumbling over, themselves, or like less, their footing is less sure, and what it does is it projects vulnerability to men. Another thing they'll do is they'll pretend to distrust a guy or accuse him of being a player as a tactic to delay sex. Women know that the longer that they can delay sex, the more power that they're going to have in the relationship that develops. Another thing, an orbiter strategy is always trying to maintain the upper hand in the relationship. So waiting for long periods of time before she returns phone calls and things like that. And the reason why she could do this is because she already has plenty of backup guys. She's very busy. She's got a lot going on with different guys. So she can wait 2 days before returning your phone call and get a guy a lot more invested. So all those orbiter strategies are very powerful. And it's something that you want to be aware of, so that you can notice the patterns and know that you're dealing with a tester, because we do have some very powerful strategies for defending ourselves, I guess you could say, and dealing with a tester. Like number one, and obviously we're gonna get into more strategies later, but just one of the things that you can do is take the focus off of, don't allow yourself to be just one of her options. You want to flip it so that she knows that you have other options, and so that instead of her focusing on choosing which guy she likes best, and she's not even going to choose one that likes best when she has that mindset, but instead trying to prove to you that she's better than all of your other options. If you can just flip that by implying having a lot of success dating, or implying that there's other women in your life, that is one way to definitely get the tester out of that mindset and begin to flip it into a situation where she's going to become an investor, or she's going to become more tame and stop seeing all these different guys. So let's do a recap for testers here. All right, number one, they don't care about finding the one perfect guy. They get what they need from a combination of guys. Number two, they have these multiple guys to feel significance, to feel validated and wanted. All right. Number three, she's not always sleeping with all of them. Right? She's not always having sex with all of them. Again, that depends on the sex line, deny or justifier. Number four, she has very sophisticated strategies to keep guys in orbit, and we want to be able to identify these patterns so that we know that we're dealing with a tester, and we can start using our strategies to kind of defend ourselves from it. And number five, testers can be converted into investors if you have the right skills. All right, cool. So let's talk about investors. So while a tester is indifferent to really finding that one perfect guy, an investor does. She always does have in getting that perfect guy in the back of her mind. However, it's not that she's going to find that guy who's already perfect and just stick with him. It's that what she's trying to do is fix him. She sees that he has that potential. She sees a guy that has potential to be perfect for her, and that's what is keeping her devoted to him. And she actually enjoys the process of improving and fixing a guy. It's not always a bad thing, because a woman actually can contribute to your life and make you a better person. I don't necessarily have a preference. I'm sure a lot of guys listening to this will say, well, God, I wouldn't want to date a tester. I'd only want to date an investor. But keep in mind, you can change a tester into an investor using these strategies. Eventually, if you are in a relationship with her, yeah, you want to have an investor. But testers can be fun too, especially if you're just dating and you're seeing other women. They can be a lot less needy and a lot less possessive. So there's in all of these types in the whole system, there's advantages and disadvantages to the different types. But I'll never say that one type is definitely better than another type. I'm going to leave that for you to decide. All right, so usually an investor is going to have one thing that she's trying to change so that he becomes perfect for her. But here's the kicker. And for example, that one thing could be, he doesn't have a good enough job, so she's going to help him get on his feet and get a better job. Or, he's lazy or something, or he plays too many video games, or he's a little bit of an asshole and like socially abrasive. All these things could be flaws that she thinks that she can come in and try to help. Okay, but here's the interesting thing. Once she does get him to change that one thing, her interest usually goes right down the tubes. All right, so if you notice that you're going to attract an investor and she has this one thing she's trying to help you work on, don't fix it. Or if you do fix it, wait a long time before you fix it. Don't fix it in like 1 week of dating her. She's not going to be invested enough, and she'll just move on to fix the next guy. All right, so for her, the feeling of having something to work on, something to fix, is what keeps her interested and attracted. All right, this will play heavily into our advanced strategies for attracting an investor. Also, investors make great girlfriends. That's definitely true. And like I said, testers can be a lot of fun too. But if you want to have her be a girlfriend, something you're actually committed to, then you do want to change them into an investor. And that is going to take a different strategy. So what's even more interesting is that an investor will stay with a guy until she is convinced he is not the one. The key phrase being convinced he's not the one. All right, if she still has a 1% chance that he is the one, an investor will usually stick around, and you'll see this a lot of times when you see girls staying with guys that are just no good for them, but he's got that one thing she's still trying to change. All right, so she usually has to be convinced beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that he is not the one. And if she is convinced, what she'll usually do is move on to the next guy, sometimes with a small phase of being single, and sometimes becoming a tester for that small phase in between. An investor usually has also suffered some kind of romantic loss in the past. Testers have too, but she does not feel as if she was cheated or betrayed by the guy. Either she had to move away from a guy, her family moved and she had to go with him, or she lost him in some way, or and this is a big one, they broke up and she actually still blames herself for the loss. Like she feels either she cheated or she felt like it was her fault and feels guilty. And what she's doing now is she's investing, and in the guy, she's somehow proving to herself that she can create the perfect relationship by helping a guy step into a role that isn't necessarily natural for him. She can feel supportive, motherly, nurturing, important, and most importantly, needed. And those are the emotions that drive her and keep her in love with a guy. So let's recap investors. Number one, she wants to have the perfect guy, but really what she's looking for is potential, and she's going to find that potential of someone that can become perfect. She's going to be the one that helps him get there. And number two, she tends to only date one guy at one time and invest all of her time and energy in him. All right. Number three, she prefers less relationships but longer lasting relationships. And number four, in most cases, if she is successful in fixing the guy, she starts to lose interest. It's no more fun for her. It's not interesting to her anymore. No more challenge. And number five, she will stick around unless she is convinced beyond a shadow of doubt that you're not the one, and then she'll usually move on.